Today is March 26, 2024, and welcome to SBA Today. Tonya, what are we talking about today?
Well, I'm pretty sure we're talking about the fact that it's snowy and cold here in Colorado, and I'm
What?
going to Key West. Oh no, we're not talking about that. I'm talking about that.
No.
Oh, you mean what are we talking about that people actually want to know about versus why I'm wearing what I'm wearing, a sundress when it's snowing and there's a weather alert. And yeah, anyway, that's because I'm going to the US. Anyway, so what are we about today? Well, okay. SBA lenders quarter 1 this year. What kinds of loans have we done? What's gotten through and or approved? We are also talking about the tax transcripts and yeah, there's a few issues forming on that one. And also, Paul and I are going to have a frank discussion on interest rates because, interest rates, there's no discussion around that.
It's
Everybody's
an easy topic. I don't
really
understand why
happy.
it's a topic, but yeah, sure.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So,
Well, hey, before I get into my story, I have kind of a pre-story, and I wanted to talk about this because last week we talked about women-owned businesses.
mhm.
And I want to hear what Tonya's opinion is on this statistic that I found out. My brother sent me this statistic. Thanks, Brian. And so did you know, Tonya, that it was 1988 that women stopped needing and requiring a male co-signer to sign on a loan? That's 36 years ago.
Speechless. No, I did not know that. And that's so challenging to think about now. But I mean, I guess when I think back to then, I mean, that's when I was graduating high school. So it might have been a minute ago. But isn't that crazy that
That's crazy.
we had to have somebody co-sign on our behalf because we obviously can't do it on our own. It's a little asinine. I'm glad it's getting a little bit better. I think it's way better.
It's shocking to me that 36 years, which really is not that long ago. And
Well, I personally think it's a heck of a long time ago, but again, I graduated in '88, so I'm kidding. Yeah.
Well, I want to
Anyway.
share with you kind of a story about, how are you partnering with your brokers, whether that's your loan brokers, business brokers, whoever you partner with. I have a broker that I've been courting for a while, and we finally got to do a sit down with him and, share a meal. And this broker is really good at social media and building his brand. And I have a huge passion of building personal brand because I'm always in the opinion that people bank with people, not necessarily institutions. So when I sat down with him, I told him about Gisa and me and why Gisa's different. And then I told him that, I've been really impressed with his social media, and he lit up like a firecracker with excitement. I mean, clearly he's got some passion around that. And I told him, what I do with, this podcast, and I do videos and website and all that type of stuff to give information away, et cetera. And man, we talked for about another probably 15, 20 minutes just on social media. And he looked at me and he goes, "We need to do videos together." And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what we should do. So,
Right.
I just want to make sure that, as a BDO, and you're sitting down and you're doing your conversation with them, and, we'll call it the dog and pony show.
Right.
Make sure you're looking at their face, not what the next thing you're going to say is, because their facial reaction says a lot. You'll know exactly the things that that they like to hear. And there's even some times when you see their face and you're like, oh, they don't like that answer that I only go to 100,000 is my minimum. Like, or whatever
Whatever,
the
Paul.
case is.
You're talking to little miss that I couldn't get something away if I tried with my facial expressions.
That's
Come
right.
on.
And that's why you and I should play poker together.
Oh, no. Now,
Oh,
with
that's where you draw the line?
with
Oh, okay.
poker, that's a whole nother thing. I love people, I think, not giving me enough credit or thinking I'm this little blonde sitting there. Oh, no, poker's a little bit different.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
gotcha,
Oh, yeah.
gotcha.
Oh, yeah, that one I can play with. But yes, I agree with you on the broker thing. I mean, it's kind of like in general, look for opportunities. And I think so often we're so ready to share our own stuff that we're not listening to the other side as to what they've got sharing with us. And
Yep.
sometimes you pick up things. It's kind of like when I started my Tanya's Tidbits last year, I reached out to Ray Drew. We were just connected on LinkedIn. And I was like, what are you doing? And how are you doing it? And what do you think? And all this. And he's like, I really like him. He goes, in fact, I really am creating this show and I would love for you to be my co-host. So something came from it I wasn't expecting.
Ditto.
But again, it's keeping those lines of communication open, whether it be facial expressions
Mhm.
and or just listening to the other party and what they're saying and how you can connect. So I think that's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And also look for opportunities to help your broker. And I know we're in a situation
absolutely.
usually where the broker, really you're paying the fee, et
Mhm.
cetera. So you're trying to get them to do the stuff, but
Right.
get them to get them on your, how can you help them? How can you help promote them? Especially
Mhm.
if they're, an A player. So
And never, ever, ever forget where that referral came from.
amen.
I
Amen
mean,
to
I
that.
put so many notes and alerts because you know what happens
Mhm.
sometimes? We might have a deal that was sent over from a broker. We
Yep.
work with the client, we work for let's however long, they go away for whatever reason. They go away, they start doing something else, it takes forever. I have notes out the yin yang to make sure that if they ever come back, guess what? That was already sent to me and that person is going to be recognized and I'm going to make sure that I feed the hand that fed me. So anyway, yes.
Amen, sister.
Mhm. There you go. Well then,
All
all
right, well,
right,
let's
Paul,
jump into the news.
let's do it. We're gonna go into our good friends Lumos again shared with us, or shall I say, we researched them.
That's
Anyway,
right.
for the top 10 industries on 7A loans for quarter one 2024 and who they are and what they are, meaning for volume. So for those of you that are actually listening versus watching via LinkedIn, we're going to have this graph at the bottom as well in the show notes. But in advance, I'm just going to let you know that, okay, let's see the top one here hotels. Seriously, hotels, I love it. 350 million, just shy of that would be our full service restaurants. We've got the limited service restaurants, gas station C stores. Let's see here. Okay, childcare services, dentists, general the physicians, general, what is this? Auto
Auto repair.
representative, repair shops.
Mhm.
Um, oh, wow, look at that one, the fitness centers,
Fitness
beer,
center.
wine, liquor, HVAC. It's cool because I see all of these, right? I was a little surprised, and Paul knows I was a little surprised that, the hotels were number 1 because, I don't know, for us, yeah, we get asked a lot, but I assumed we got asked a lot because nobody else wanted to do them, right? But potentially why we get asked a lot is because we do both branded and non-branded. So anyway, so Paul, what do you think of all
Well,
these
I
numbers?
wasn't really shocked that hotels being 350 million and then just
Yeah.
like 340 million is full service restaurants. I know what I did in Q1. And what's really interesting, if I took my portfolio and what we did in Q1 and I put it against this,
Mhm.
the graph would look probably pretty much pretty similar. And so, as especially as the economy is doing a little better,
Right.
full service restaurants, limited service restaurants are all,
Mhm.
starting to, where we're past COVID. So they
Right.
finally have good profitability in their tax returns. And so what do you have when you have profitability? You sell, right? And so
Yep.
I think that's a big thing with hotels and the restaurants is the
Right.
what happened with COVID. And then
Right.
you look at about 85 million in dentists, physicians, auto repair, fitness centers, beer, wine and liquor, and plumbing HVAC. That's pretty normal. But no, I wasn't shocked on the hotels, but it's always good to see what everyone's doing out there. That's the key.
It is. And it's so funny because the interesting part, and I think anybody else out there would know this as well, Paul wasn't shocked based on what he's seen and whatnot. I was shocked based on what I see. So there's just
Mhm.
a difference oftentimes in the shops, and people get used to going to specific places for certain loans. I was kind of shocked, like I said, because I thought others weren't doing as much based on how many I had gotten. So
Well, another thing to keep in
interesting.
mind too is the location. You're in Colorado. I'm in Washington State. Perhaps there's something that has to do with that. I wish I saw more plumbing, HVAC in heating and cooling. But if I was down in Texas, I'd probably see a ton of those, right? Your heating
Yeah,
company in Colorado right now is really busy, right, Tonya?
it is. It is. Oh, yeah. Breweries are coming back around. So those would probably fall, I'm assuming, into the limited restaurant, oftentimes, dependent upon what kind of food service they have in there as well.
Right.
But we're seeing quite a lot of those.
Yay!
Yeah,
Give us a call, guys. Give us a call.
there you go. Okay, so we can take that down.
And so our second story is talking about 4506C. Man, everyone loves that form. It's my personal favorite because we never have any issues with the 4506C at
Oh,
all.
I can do it perfectly. I can send it out, and the borrower specifically does it perfectly every
Oh,
single time.
100% hits the right boxes,
You
everything.
you don't get them perfect the first time, Paul?
I know, weird. Well, there's been some discussion with the IRS that were going to be doing this only for mortgages and that they were
Mhm,
going to be taking this out of SBA. Well, I'm sure SBA had probably something to say about this because it's really important and a big part of our business that our borrowers are actually paying taxes. So they did come out and they did put a pause on that because the SBA has confirmed the policy reversing, stating that lenders may continue to use the IRS ICE systems to submit the 4506C. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm sure they get a lot of requests, and I'm sure that's what they're probably trying to limit. It'll be interesting to see what they actually do with this.
mhm.
And if they actually do change something, just recently in the last couple SOPs, the IRS Form 8821 was also kind of introduced into policy, being able to do that. And frankly, guys, the 8821 is really cool. If your organization isn't looking at that, you should, because for like $100, you get the last 10 years worth of taxes. And even the thing that's really worth the $100 is you get the next 3 years that they file automatically emailed to you. Now, think about your annual reviews, and that's worth $100 a year.
Easily. 1,000? I'm kidding.
Yeah, I know.
No,
It's
I mean,
so it's
$100, that absolutely, I think anybody would likely pay that if their shop does it and if possible, so
absolutely.
worthwhile.
So
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what the IRS does. So
that it will. That it will. All right. Well, then the next is let's chat a little bit about interest rates. So yeah, so I'll tell you a little bit about my shop first, right? Interest rates, they're high. How are we actually having these discussions around interest rates that could be in the realm of 9 to 12% for people? It's a challenge, and people are challenged with that interest rate. I completely get it. With my shop, with our lane that we play in. We have a specific niche. So my conversation with the borrower is extremely transparent and upfront. I make no qualms about what my interest rate is because my interest rate is what my interest rate is. There is no up down. Let's negotiate. I don't negotiate on interest because the lane I play in is with difficult, oftentimes challenged. There's something that potentially others aren't getting around, or their box is full of that specific industry type, or they don't like ground up construction, or I mean, goodness, for some people, they just don't want to mess with it because there's too many daggum affiliates.
that's true.
I did not
Very good
say that.
point.
I did not say
No,
that.
that's
I did say
true.
um, anyway, so when we get it, it's usually because there's some risk around it, right? And so I have gotten to where I'm very upfront and honest. If their deal is just too darn good for my interest rate and what I can offer, I'm very, very upfront about that. And I don't apologize for my interest rate because it just is what it is. And those who need me and need my service, that's just where they are. So for me, that's the conversation I have. I wish they were lower, but they aren't. So,
Well, what I
big
hear
deal.
from you there, Tanya,
Mhm.
is that you don't sell by rate. And
Of course,
a
I
good
can't.
BDO lender, if you sell by rate,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
will fail. Like it's a big deal.
Mhm.
And the other thing is too is just the overall, opinion of when it comes to interest rates. They're high. They're high
Mhm.
compared to what? if we were in the 70s when prime was, 17, 18%, that's high, right?
Right.
um, 9 to 12 is, kind of really normal when you look back at history.
Right.
And just understanding where prime rate is, there's discussion of obviously lowering interest rates, which that's a much easier conversation to have on
Yeah.
a variable rate deal than going from a prime of 3.25 to 8.5. Yeehaw,
And
enjoy that
And
ride.
Paul, in that, if you think about it in that, do people really want to get a fixed rate right now when we know likely rates are going to drop? Do you really want to fix? I mean, some may, and maybe
Yep.
there's great opportunities out there, but some may not.
And again, as everyone knows, but I'll make sure that this is top news here on this podcast. Guess what, guys? Rates will never be as low as they were 3 years ago. Don't even
Not
think
for a
about it.
minute. It
For
Mhm,
prime to be at 5-6%, I
mhm.
think that's a normal, healthy, low prime.
Right, right.
So I just want to have a conversation about rates because it is such
Mhm.
a specific to each organization. Also, to a lot of shops, some of them do straight fixed rates, and that's
Yeah.
great. I think it
Well, I
depends.
think there's
What
a
are
place for everything. There's a place for everything. There's a time for everything. And yeah, so my spiel, my who I am and what we can do, it's I cannot compete on rate, or I do not compete on rate. I
good?
do not compete on timing. I do compete on closing it and getting it over the finish line. That's what I'm looking to do. That's
Boom.
what makes me happy, of taking something that somebody else, some other place, for whatever reason or not, could not help a borrower, and trying to figure out how to make that happen because of the space that we're in.
Yep.
I'm okay with where we are in the interest rates. Now, you know where I have a problem with interest rates the most are those who got into the interest rate back when it was 3 plus my spread, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how much those payments have
Yeah.
gone up for them.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that really challenge me. Those who are going into it, they know what the rate is. They're doing what they're doing. They know what the
Yep.
rate is. Got it. Those who got in, none of us ever expecting what happened, and they're now paying twice as much, and it's killing them.
It's
Those are
true.
the ones that are killing me when it comes to the interest rate.
True. True.
Yeah.
Good conversation.
It
Go ahead and close
is,
us
it
out,
is.
Tanya.
Well, yeah. We appreciate all you guys joining us. And if you'd like to hear the breaking news when it comes out, then join us again next Tuesday on the live formats, which would be LinkedIn and or YouTube. If you're listening, any of the platforms, whether Spotify, Apple, I don't even know who else, right? But you can find us on all of them. The slides will be in the show notes, and we look forward to spending our time with you next week.
All right.
See you
See
later.
you later.